Hello and welcome to Our Entertainment's first podcast. I'm Japes. I'll be hosting the show tonight with Andy, Sean and Johnny. Enjoy. So, this butler...
But listen, when they tell me it's a hentai game, I expect some sex or nudity, not freaking suggested scenes and then fade to black. Like, seriously.
What? So it's just suggesting that it's there?
And it's just screenshots. It's just 2D screenshots. Then it's all text. It's what did Andy call it? Graphic novel. It's just text.
Yeah, visual novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it gives you a choice every now and again. Do you shout at him or do you let him touch your leg? You know, and then it just carries on. Nothing actually happens.
But don't most graphic novels actually have animations and stuff?
Oh, this one does.
Not really. It's very fucking. There's just like an image on screen, and it's normally like a girl that's talking to you, and she might move up and down slightly with her tits bouncing, and that's about it.
So it's not like a point and click?
No, not really.
Not at all. You're just pressing one button.
It is literally just reading script with very little choice.
Yeah.
Right, I see. Is it Japanese?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see.
And it's more aimed towards the fucking 14-year-old prepubescent teenage boys.
Yep.
I think the Asian market's different to the Western, though, when it comes to that kind of stuff, isn't it?
But,
yeah, because I think the Asian market is heavily repressed.
Andy, you liked Steins Gate, right?
Steins Gate was fantastic, but that wasn't really pornographic as such. Whereas a lot of the whereas a lot of the hentai and graphic novels that are coming over from Japan are really, really close to the edge.
No, but I honestly though, I have a friend who taught in Japan for 5 years, and I asked him about it, and seriously, he said that their adolescence is a lot longer than ours. Like, you'll ask like a 15 or 16 or 17-year-old kid, you know, hey, who's your favorite fictional character on a show? And like, honest to God, they're like, oh, Elmo.
Wow.
Because they think like it's cool, and they don't. And like, okay, he would talk to them about video games, and he told them that he was playing like Grand Theft Auto, and his students would like stare at him and be like, why would you play a game where you can actually hurt innocent people? That's terrible.
Jeez.
And so it's a lot. It's, you know, it's not like here where, well, I mean, yeah, I assume it's kind of similar in Europe, but here where kids are kind of like itching to grow up and see more adult and R-rated content and stuff like that. You know, when they're younger, because they're more curious, and there's the whole thing about, oh, well, you're not supposed to because it's, you know, whatever, it's taboo, it's not for kids. Over there, it's a much smaller percentage of kids who are, I guess, quote unquote, trying to get away with looking at adult stuff. Like, I worked at a GameStop, and I had like a 7 or 8 year old kid try to intimidate me into letting him buy a copy of Grand Theft Auto 4.
Okay, now.
And I was like, no, you're in the politest way that I could. I basically said, no, you're a fucking child. You need parental approval. You need your parents or someone over the age of 17 here to sell you this video game. And I would get kids all the time asking about Grand Theft Auto. But my friend told me that when he was in Japan, they were like, not super disturbed, but like a little thrown off and a little disturbed, and it was like a little bit awkward when he would talk about like M-rated, like super violent games, because a lot of them are, you know, there's that kind of an extended adolescence or childhood compared to us anyway. It's not that one way's right and one way's wrong, but it's just different there.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a completely different games market in the East than there is everywhere else.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of the visual novels that we're talking about, a lot of them are romance, but there's not always nudity. It's more suggested. And, you know, I've actually, I've been watching anime since I was like 14 or 15, and in a lot of the anime, there's an essence of there's an episode near the end of the series where a group will go on vacation, and when they come back from vacation, a boy and a girl will be in a serious relationship, and that's the closest implication that they had sex when they were away on their vacation, and it's just kind of understood that that's the deal.
Yeah, there's never any actual physical sexuality in the games, but there is a lot of, with the artwork, there's extremely huge tits.
Yeah.
For sort of 14 and 15-year-old kids, it's way out of proportion. But there's also a lot of camel toes drawn in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff did used to make me feel uncomfortable when I first started playing and reviewing the games. I have said it in previous reviews that I don't agree with it. And especially I would feel uncomfortable if my daughter walked in and saw me playing it.
Of course.
Correct, yeah.
And the thing is, in my opinion, there's no obvious way to tell before you play it, there's no obvious way to tell between the more innocent ones and the more dirty and fan servicey ones until you're getting into it, or, whatever. I guess what I'm saying is it's not as clear-cut a difference, Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
So it can be, they're definitely two separate markets, but it's difficult beforehand to tell which is which.
Oh, definitely. I get a lot of games from P-Cube.
Right.
They bring a lot of the visual novels over from the East and release them here in Europe and the West. And you don't know what you're getting into until you actually play it.
Yeah. And it's tricky because I think that going into it beforehand, they look so similar. It's easy to assume that they're all one way or they're all another way. But it's, it's I don't know. I just think it's tricky to tell. So I totally understand that.
You ever felt awkward while playing one of them, like not expecting a scene that happened or something like that?
Not me personally, no.
No, because most of the visual novels I've played have been like Steins Gate, or they've been like the Danganronpa games, where it's more clear what you're getting into, and they aren't very fan servicey. So I've been lucky in that I haven't come across any that I didn't know beforehand were going to be, risque or whatever.
Right, yeah, I see.
I think I've played one game and I completely forget the title of it at the moment. And it is schoolgirls that are superheroes that save the world, etc., etc. The usual shite. And there's scenes where they turn into these superheroes and they literally strip off completely naked and then get their fighting costumes on. So you do see everything, but obviously the nipples aren't there and the vaginas aren't there. But it is very, very, very close. And that really did actually make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I had the same with that Bullet Girl Fantasia game I reviewed. Same thing where you running like RPG third person, and when you go into superpower mode, she also just strips all the clothes off to get into that superpower mode, and you basically fight them naked. But it went further where there are these kind of sexual torture scenes where the girls are tied up, the bosses that you've destroyed, and they're tied up with their hands and their legs, and you've got to torture them towards an orgasm basically to give you the answers you're looking for, and that was a bit.
Oh wait, are you talking about Criminal Girls?
No, it was Bullet Girls Fantasia.
Oh, okay. There's a series called Criminal Girls that is like a pretty decent RPG series, but in order to level the characters up, they're all prisoners, and so there's a quote unquote torture room where you rub the Vita screen and stuff, and it drips hot wax on them and shit like that.
Yeah, I was playing on the Switch, so I had to do touch screen as well, basically.
What's everyone playing at the moment?
Right now, I am in about 20 hours into Ghost of Tsushima.
Also the same.
I think I'm probably around about 10 hours or so into it.
So what's everyone's what are everyone's thoughts? I mean, obviously it's a beautiful game. You guys like the visuals?
Visuals aren't bad. I have seen better, I will be honest.
I do think that graphically it's not superior graphics. It's alright graphics. It could have been done on a Xbox 360.
Yeah, it does feel slightly sort of last gen.
Yeah, but
as far as graphics, and down to the fighting and stuff like that, it feels very much ripped from Assassin's Creed. Or is that just me?
I think the last Assassin's Creed I played was I played the beginning of the third one.
Well, that's Johnny after this conversation, then.
I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the last one I played, and I couldn't really say it's much like that.
Because it's really funny though, is that I had the same problem. I had the same thing happen to me with Assassin's Creed that I had happen with Tony Hawk series. I loved the first couple, and then they started to feel like more and more of a grind.
Yeah.
And finally, I got into, I think it was Tony Hawk's Underground, which was like the 6th or 7th Tony Hawk. And, you start it up, they take you through the tutorial that you already know because you played the other ones. And then it was like, okay, do this combo, starting on this, do this big grind and this nose manual and this, whatever it is that they tell you to do exactly. And I'm doing it and I'm taking, try after try after try. And after about 20 tries, I just paused the game and put the controller down. And I was like, I can't do this the 7th time. I've done all these games. I cannot do this. And I had the exact same thing happen with Assassin's Creed. I did the first one. I did the second one. I did all the spin-offs of the second one. And then I got into the third one. And you've got an intro where you're the grown-up guy. And then it takes you back and you're like young Connor or whoever. I got to young Connor and I was like, I can't do another Assassin's Creed. I can't put in the same, effort to all these challenges that I did, the same thing like the last 5 games. I can't put myself through another 50 hours of this.
Yeah, I think
they do start to become a little bit repetitive after a while.
Yeah, I think quite a lot of Ubisoft games are like that.
But I haven't gotten sick of Ghost at all. I think that you guys were talking about the graphics. I think that the character models definitely leave some to be desired. Because if you get close to them, they do look pretty basic. But I think that the environment design, all the visuals on the weather and the grass and leaves and the trees and everything else, I think that's pretty incredible. I think it's one of the prettiest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the environment design is fantastic, especially with it being such an open world game. It doesn't feel like the world itself is actually stale, where, for instance, Red Dead 2 did. Started to feel a little bit boring and empty, whereas Ghost certainly isn't feeling that way.
Yeah, I think the first Red Dead did a decent job of telling you, or the first Red Dead Redemption did a good job of telling you, hey, this is how sparse and how spread out everything was back in the Old West. And I thought that was pretty cool. But in the second one, it gets to be a little bit of a slog, I think, going from place to place.
Yeah, especially when the map's sort of, 6 or 7 times bigger than the original game.
Yeah.
See, I like that about Red Dead 2. That's probably why I've got so many hours on it.
Is it so big?
Yeah, I like that it feels empty and that you're making your own story, basically, when you're playing it after the actual story.
Well, that's another thing that happens a lot in Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is that, once they send you to the open world, after the game prologue, they sort of, let you have at it and do what you want and kind of play how you want.
Yeah, that's basically what I've done anyways. I'm so far into the story, but not real far, because I've gone around taking out all the Mongolian camps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment. I'm still on Act 1, but I've done so many side missions, it's taking forever.
Well, I'm not in the next act yet.
That's something I like as well, that when you actually start on the side mission, it's not, you do a side mission and then it ends. It's actually a continuation of a story for a side mission, so you've got 9 parts to the side mission.
Yeah, and that's something that Ghost developed by Sucker Punch, who did the Infamous games, and that's something that keeps reminding me of Infamous, or that there's elements of Infamous in this one, is that you have these characters who you do side missions for, but it's their ongoing story that you keep learning more about as you go through the game, which happened a lot, especially in Infamous Second Son, which they put out at the beginning of this generation. So I'm seeing things in Ghost that remind me of that. Like you, not spoiling anything, but when you get those like 9-part side missions for some of the other characters, after the 3rd or 4th or 5th one, it'll stop for now, and you won't be able to complete them until later on in the story. And that reminds me a lot of the Infamous titles.
Oh, it's all right. I thought my game was just broken when I got to the 4th part, and then it just stopped.
There's a duel, and although I like all the duels, there's this one that made me actually feel physically sick, because you're fighting this person and these things flying around the outside of the duel, and it's hard to concentrate on the person because there's so much going on in the background. That's
I know what you're talking about.
All right, I haven't got to that bit yet, so just shush.
I won't going to give anything away, but there's a duel that's very active in the background, and it's really hard to focus on the person that you're fighting.
Yeah, that was crazy. That definitely was distracting, but I like how intense all the duels are.
Oh yeah, they are brilliant.
I do have one complaint as well about it. So, no matter which character it is within the game, if there's a fight and blood gets splattered on the face, why is the blood patterns exactly the same, no matter what, on every single face?
Texture mapping.
I know, but I think they could have done a better job on that and randomly generated the blood splatters on people's faces.
I don't think I've noticed it, to be honest. I don't think I've looked that closely at the blood splatters on the face.
Now it's going to bother you.
Yeah, you will do now.
I love how the outfit gets covered in mud as well.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I think is really impressive about Ghost of Tsushima, and we were talking about this a little bit in our chat earlier, I'm really impressed by I've seen for how Ghost is influenced by the classic samurai movies.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
I think there's a lot of elements of the Kurosawa movies that they've talked about in the I guess the developers have talked about, and it came out a couple weeks ago before the game came out that the estate of Akira Kurosawa, they got a workable copy of the game a while ago, or at least like a DVD with all the with like a demo reel or loop of it. And they gave it their official blessing as being something that he would have approved of. And it was pretty cool. And they have a mode in the game called Kurosawa mode that it makes the game black and white, but it also adds film grain over it. It increases the wind effect in the game. And they studied the type of curve and bend on the film stills that at the time of the old movies and how they'd run through the projectors and stuff to mess with video a little bit. And it even slightly decreases the audio quality to sound like an old 50s or 60s.
I was very tempted to start the game in that mode, but I thought, no, I'll play it normally, then when I finish it, I'll go back to that mode.
I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do one run through as ghost-like as I can, doing all the sneaky, stealthy bits. And then the second time, I'm going to try to do it as much and, all the standoffs and all that stuff as I can.
I seen that if you play as a ghost more and more, it gets more dark and stormier in the world.
Sweet.
So I'm not doing ghost as much as you, so you need to give me feedback on that one.
I've noticed.
I'm just going in all like samurai swords blazing.
I've been doing as much ghost as I can. Definitely on all the big encounters, all the maps and camps and stuff. I'm in all the camps and outposts and stuff. But sometimes when you're just roaming around in the open world, you get those random encounters with like a small squadron of the Mongolian dudes or a small squadron of bandits, and it's pretty hard to stealth them because it's in the middle of a field. So those I've done standoffs and the normal sword fighting with. But I'm doing as much Ghost as I can, and I'm finding a pretty good amount of bad weather, I guess. I'd say maybe 25% of the time so far. It's rainy or stormy or really overcast, maybe 30%. So I haven't, maybe if I keep going, it'll increase more. Like by the end, it could just be, springtime in London. But
that would be good to see the difference.
In other words, it's constantly pissing it down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye on it for when I get through the game. As I keep going, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, so far it seems to be a little more stormy than normal.
Just keep your eyes open as well for rain falling when you're hiding underneath rocks and stuff like that, because the rain just constantly falls.
Yeah.
So if you're in a shelter, the rain is still falling on you. So I think the developers have messed up slightly with that one.
What if you're indoors? The rain still hits you?
Not indoors. There was a camp that I went to take out, and in the middle of the camp, there's like a big rock that goes over the pathway. So there's a path underneath the rock. And if you stand underneath that, the rain is still pissing down on your head.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's just the rain dripping down off the rock, dude. You're so picky.
I'm a reviewer. I try to find the bad points in games. What can I say?
With your damn blood splatters and your rain.
Yeah, plus the fact I'm a complete asshole. Sean, as soon as you've been quiet, what have you been playing lately?
I've been playing Endzone, a world apart, because it's in early access now. So I'm getting ready for when that releases sometime this year, which is like a RPG, RTS survival game. So basically, it's like they put you in this world where everything's radioactive, post-apocalyptic. And these guys, almost like Fallout, come out of these shelters called end zones. And then you've got to basically, normal RTS, collect resources to get your survivors to grow and survive in this new environment, despite the fact that there's animals running around. So I don't know how they survive the radioactivity. None of them have...
It's basically a working version of Fallout 76, then.
Yeah, in RTS fashion, basically. I'm enjoying it, though. I am. I just don't know. I'm struggling with the logic of how fruits and berries and food and everything survive radioactivity. But logic aside, it's a good game.
And people say I'm picky.
And then the other one I'm also busy with in early access is Drift 21, which is exactly what the title says. It's a drifting game. They set you up with a garage, and what I love about it is that it's inside the garage. You're in first-person view, and you can literally take the engine or build an engine from scratch in the garage, buy new parts for the engine itself or parts for the car, carry it around the garage and fit it and see what works and what doesn't. I love that aspect of the game.
I think if you like that aspect of it, you need to give Car Mechanic Simulator a go.
Oh, is it the same?
You're a car mechanic, obviously.
The
name of the game kind of gives it away.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, you take cars in and you need to diagnose what the issues are and swap out the parts, and you're literally stripping down an engine piece by piece by piece and then rebuilding it.
Oh, that sounds nice. That does sound good, yeah.
But it goes as far as dismantling the suspension as well and every single aspect of the car.
Oh, that sounds about the same.
Is it the same people that are making that Yacht Mechanic Simulator?
I presume so, it will be.
Is it Image Powerhouse? Something like
I
that.
can't remember off the top of my head who did it.
No, it's not the same people by the looks of it.
So yeah, the only thing is with Drift 21 is that once you've built your car and it's ready to go, they've got these tracks that you can drift around and get achievements and get objectives, like complete in a certain time and things. But it's just you. There's no other AI. There's no multiplayer. I did an interview with the developer that time on our site, and he did say that they were looking into how they can add other players and multiplayer in that. But right now, at this point in early access, it's just you and the road. That's it. Drifting.
Is there any NPCs?
Nothing. Just you and the car.
Right.
So, once you've mastered the tracks, that's about it. There's nothing more for you to do. At this point, there's only like 3 cars. So there's a lot of development still to do. They've had 3 years, I believe. They've been working on it for 3 years now.
What, and they ain't got no NPCs in it?
Nope. Not at this point, though.
Well, it's still in early access, so there's still time for them to do something with it.
Yeah, there is. But I think most of it went into all the designing of putting the car parts and all that. I think they wanted to show how much they knew about car parts and drifting. So yeah, those are the 2 games I'm busy playing at this point. 4 reviews. I'm still playing Hunting Simulator, even though I've reviewed it. That game is just addictive. As weird as it sounds, walking around a forest looking for animals that will eventually appear, it's quite fun.
Any game where you have to build a car I'm so bad at it. Like, I forget which Gran Turismo it was. It was like maybe 4, and I did like, okay, here's your car, and I'd be like, all right, and I'd lose, and I'd go back, and it'd be like, oh, you should try to change how your car's set up, and it turned out that I think my a 1/4 inch too close together or something on the axle, and I was losing by 20 a lap. And I was like, I don't get it. I'm brain dead when it comes to building cars. It's cool. I'm just so clueless on it. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
I gotta respect Sean for being able to figure that out, because I would never be able to.
No, I haven't a clue when it comes to cars in the real world and what goes on under the bonnet. I mean, God knows my bonnet's been up enough bloody times with the mechanic underneath it. But I did actually start learning very, very basic mechanics when I was playing Car Mechanic Simulator. And that really sounds stupid, but it's very, very interesting game. Obviously, if you're going to toss about mechanics, then it's not for you. But
yeah, I heard a story or something about more people taking up mechanics because of that game.
Oh, really?
So that's quite interesting.
I do enjoy it. I mean, I've been through a lot of third, fourth hand cars in my life, so I've had to fix a lot of them. But besides that, I mean, I enjoy watching on Netflix all these rust to riches and building up cars and classic cars from scrapyard, and I really, really enjoy it.
It's not real. Programs like that on Netflix are not real.
Sadly, I know that, but I still enjoy it. Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I've just bought an absolute wreck. 48 hours later, it's beaming and it's worth £2 million. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Something slightly off there, but
But yeah, I want to mention something, but I mentioned Hunting Simulator earlier, and the one thing I was telling Japes the one day, how I can't handle how much it's like a walking simulator. But the one thing that it really grabs me that I enjoy about these type of games is I'm a collector within games. So when they put things in games like this where every gun you buy, you start stacking up inside this room, that's a lot like Hitman, or like Assassin's Creed 2 where you had this armory of collecting armor. That gets me. I enjoy games where I get to collect stuff inside the game.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for, what I'm a sucker for is a gimmick where either your home area or your clothing looks different and better as you build it up.
Yes.
So like, you know, in so many games where, like, even, you know, to take a one major game example, like when you play through the Division games and you're constantly upgrading whatever your home base is, and you're buying all these upgrades for it, and you're getting like, oh, there's clean water in this place now, and there's this like comms room and all this stuff. Seeing it all come to life from being all shut down and dead. Oh, it's like catnip, man. I'd play that shit all day.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I dig about Ghost of Tsushima, is that as you collect resources, you upgrade your armor, and it goes fairly basic to being really, really decked out and really heavy armor, or, you know, more and more like accessories and cool stuff on your suit of armor. And I'm a total for it. Like, it could have half as much story and missions in it as they do, and I just run around finding resources and crap.
Yes.
Vanity progression.
Yes, vanity progression.
Oh, is that what it's called?
I thought James just made it up.
No, yeah, that's it, yeah.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's vanity items within a game. So.
Yeah.
It is. It makes me feel bad for when I was like a little boy and I would make fun of the girls for like dress up on their dolls, because that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, it is.
No. There's a world of difference between little girls' dollies and gamers.
I mean,
you know what? I used to think the same thing, but then I was playing and I was like, "Ooh, look! I've got him a new hat."
Yeah, I'll wait for the complaints to come in about that comment that I've just made. But you know,
that is literally us lot though in the
fuck
chat.
it, I don't give a shit.
It is us lot though sharing our pictures of our fucking gin.
Yeah, exactly. We load that chat with pictures of Jin's new armor and like jobs on it and stuff.
Yeah.
Can I just publicly say as well that while we're on Ghost of Tsushima, I'd like to say thank you to Ty Stockton, a very good friend in America, who actually, bless his cotton socks, he got me a £50 PlayStation card just so I could play the game.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that was absolutely fantastic of him.
That is fantastic of him.
And where do I make these friends?
Send him my way.
You actually need to leave the house in the first place, Johnny.
I'm not familiar with that concept.
You can leave a house?
Yeah, apparently you can, but the graphics aren't as good.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going out then.
You can leave a house, but if it's an EA game, you need to buy the DLC.
Oh, yeah?
When the first Sims ever came out on PC, my brother and I got it, and we had this family, the basic family of three. It's the father, the mother, and the daughter's like, and we thought it would be funny to start not letting the dad sleep at all.
I remember you telling me this story.
So he started getting tired, and he started getting a little delirious from like sleep deprivation. And so what he started doing was like, okay, like we had what we did was we had a single bed for mom, and then we had another single bed for the dad. And we would, whenever the dad would sleep, we'd sell the bed. So he would just like fall on the floor and have to wake up again. So what he did was like, he started like at 2 a.m, he would go to his daughter's bedroom and start playing with her dollhouse, which was the only thing that made him happy. But then he would also, his hobby was like in his spare time, if we just took our hands off and let him whatever, he would go into the backyard. They had a family graveyard. He would go and sit and mourn and cry, and he just did that on his own. And then so we felt bad and for how we were treating him, because he started getting really messed up. And so one night we decided to order the family a pizza. And so the pizza boy comes with pizza. Mom answers the door and starts flirting with the pizza boy. But but then like Dad comes around and sees her flirting with the pizza boy, and so he would just like sit in the bushes and cry. It was ridiculous. And so the daughter, we had we wanted her to study to be a mechanic, so we would wake her up in the middle of the night to read about being a mechanic at like 3 a.m. And so she started having some troubles as well.
Oh.
So you didn't do the usual thing that everybody else does, where you have about 50 girlfriends at the same time?
No. Although, interestingly enough, one of my favorite things that I ever read about The Sims was that developers, they made it, and originally you couldn't kill the Sims, but they let people play test it, and they said something like 95% of people, their first question was, how do you kill them? So everyone wanted to know how to kill off the Sims. They were like, make it so you can kill them. I don't care how, just make it so you can kill them. So you can kill the Sims, and if you do it right, it works really well, because in the second Sims game, we had someone go swimming when they were really tired, and we sold the ladder to get out of the pool.
Oh, jeez.
So eventually they drowned.
Gee whiz.
And a grave appeared, and I guess we decided to have like an eye.
And he's gone again.
He's gone. Yeah.
I think everyone kills the Sims though, don't they? Or is it just me?
It's a long time since I've played it. Although now Johnny's mentioned that, I might have to boot up the Sims 4 and see if I can build a bloody swimming pool and drown them all.
I don't think you can on Sims 4.
Sorry, I cut out for a minute. So we had like an Irish wake for this lady who died, and entire block showed up.
What?
And the Grim Reaper showed up, and the Grim Reaper ended up playing poker with some of the guests.
We're going full Bill and Teddy, yes.
And her husband, the new widower, ended up I think in The Sims they call it making woohoo.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
With a party guest on the lady's tombstone.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Last thing that I promise I'm done. Really liked is we got The Sims 4 on our PS4 because my daughter was interested in it, and she wanted to make like a really nice simple household where it's a woman and her son. And so my daughter made this young adult woman and her son, who was a toddler. Only my daughter forgot to push the menu button to make them related.
Oh.
And
Oh dear.
technically,
Please do not go there.
so technically, this woman just has a roommate who is a random infant. Completely unsupervised baby, and since they're not related, she has no obligations towards this kid. So like she won't change him, she won't put him down, and like when the baby screams, like she gets annoyed at it and yells at it. And like at one point the baby was sitting in a chair, and the baby slept in like 2 days because my daughter was not very good at this. And so the baby like fell asleep in a chair, and this lady was like, I want to sit in my chair, so she went and kicked the baby out of the chair.
So, does this kind of thing happen when Lena looks after Barry?
No, thankfully she's slightly nice.
Slightly.
But, yeah, so that's why I love The Sims. It's just such a bizarre game, and the characters just go off the rails immediately.
Yeah, I think I might just start playing it on my PS4 again.
You should. See what you can have the Grim Reaper do.
Since we're talking about The Sims, is anyone getting that knitting pack that's coming out this week?
You're excited for that, aren't you?
Sean's life revolves around online knitting.
The knitting pack. PlayStation 5.
Oh,
What are you looking forward to?
Getting it on day one.
Are you going to get it on day one, yeah?
I'm pre-ordering. As soon as it's announced, I'm pre-ordering it.
Johnny, are you?
oh, no.
I am mostly looking forward to the Horizon sequel and Resident Evil 8.
Oh, definitely Resident Evil, yeah.
I'm going to say something that's going to upset everyone, but I'm looking forward to Silent Hills.
Ooh.
There is never going to be another Silent Hill game.
I
Never
knew he was
be-
going to say that.
Yeah, because I'm sick to death of all the fucking Silent Hill fanboys over the last 6 months constantly saying there's a game in development, there's a game in development. As soon as the PlayStation 5 reveal comes along, that's it, they're going to announce it, and it never happened. And, like, fuck off. It's just not going to happen.
Does it hurt your feelings, Andy?
I'm just sick of it. Being in Silent Hill fan groups on bloody Facebook is annoying at the best of times.
Yeah, he's right.
Come on, Andy. Come on, Andy. Don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
This is the sofa you can speak.
Every Silent Hill fan on Facebook, 90% of the Silent Hill fans on Facebook are cunts.
So now you've just destroyed the fan base.
Sorry, I had to. I knew you were.
The fan base is fine. When they're talking about the old games now, they're brilliant. It's the constant hope for Konami to bring out another Silent Hill game, and it's not going to happen. Konami have completely stripped back their operation.
It's not going to come out if you keep talking about it like that, Andy.
I don't give a fuck.
You got to believe.
And now you're pushing it.
Don't stop believing.
Oh, you know what I'm really looking forward to on the PS5.
What's that? But two games that I am looking forward to on the PS5 seriously is Resident Evil Village, definitely.
8.
And yeah, man, I'm so excited. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I really do hope it's going to be on the virtual reality as well. Same way 7 was, because that was fantastic.
It was.
I don't think I'm going to get one.
Oh, just like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get a PlayStation 5.
Oh, and the other game is Diablo 4. As much as I'm tired of grinding Diablo 3, Diablo 4.
Oh, Johnny's speaking.
See, I'm boring. I'm just waiting for Gran Turismo again. Because
Finally,
they're bringing back the old raceways and modifications to the car, so Johnny, stay away from it.
I'm looking. They announced a game called Pragmata at the big event reveal thing, and it looked like a cross between Death Stranding and I don't know, like BioShock Infinite or something. It looked crazy.
I really wish 2K would bring out another BioShock.
Oh yes,
Pragmata.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like a guy in an astronaut suit, and then a little girl going through like an abandoned Times Square.
Capcom, yeah.
And out of nowhere, they got lifted up into the sky, and it's like a satellite almost crashed on them.
oh,
Oh, it's Capcom though. It's going to be arcadey.
Oh no!
Oh god, no.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, Capcom. As soon as you hear that name, you know it's.
Yeah, we'll ignore that. It's just going to be Street Fighter rehashed.
Yeah.
It'll be $60 game that already has $100 worth of locked DLC on the disc.
Yeah. I don't think I'll touch next gen consoles unless I get one cheap. You know.
Off the back of a lorry, in other words. You might want to edit that bit out of.
Nah, it can stay in. I might get one cheap. It might fall off a truck.
I like the way, though, that Sony have announced that they are going to limit sales to one console per person.
You know that's not going to happen though, because Sony's saying it, but Game aren't going to do that, or GameStop, You know what I mean?
Game in the UK did that with the limited edition Death Stranding. They did actually limit that to one per customer.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop me from getting one in my name and one in my sister's name.
Well, you're a twat if you do that, then.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't stop people from getting them, does it? And then selling them on eBay.
No, the idea is there. It's just actual following through is not.
It's impossible to enforce.
Yeah. And most of these scalpers work in bloody groups anyway, so.
And when you've got 4 sisters, it's easy to use every single one of the names.
Don't mention your 4 sisters where Johnny's concerned.
Yeah, we'll stop there.
Yeah, because we all know Johnny gets a little bit too excited for his own good.
Let's move on. Cyberpunk what?
Totally missed that bit.
Too excited for your own good.
Yeah, you need to keep a check on that blood pressure, Johnny.
Xbox have a showcase on the 23rd. Is anybody interested in that?
You mean in 2 days?
Is it in 2 days? Yeah.
It's 21st today.
Yeah, but by the time this podcast goes out, it might actually be the 23rd.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, it depends on how long it takes the bloody edit to do his editing.
Yeah. Looks around suspiciously.
I will watch it. I don't know what I'm expecting from it, to be honest.
I think basically it's going to be Halo, and that's it.
Forza.
With Xbox, it's going to be Halo, Forza, and whatever other shit they normally spread out.
That's not bad coming from somebody that used to be Xbox only.
Yeah, I can't say anything because I have got 3 Xboxes, so can't really say much there, can I? I've got a PlayStation.
No,
come on.
I would like to put it out there that if there are any kind of PR companies listening to this podcast, although it is a load of shit, we would like some free PlayStation 5 consoles and maybe some Xbox consoles as well when they're released. Thank you very much.
And Atari.
And I'm sorry, Xbox, if I ever do release my game on your platform.
Speaking of Neon Sword, how's the development going with that one?
Oh yeah, please tell us.
Well, you two should know since I streamed it to you both earlier.
Well, other than the fact that we know you're bad at driving.
Hey. Them pedestrians got in my way.
And the fifth element vehicles.
Yeah, that's the fun part of making games, the bugs.
Yeah, and walking into the titty bars.
Yeah, you just wanted me to zoom in on them titties, didn't you? Them square little titties.
Oh yeah, pixelated titties every day.
I can say it's definitely not a game for kids. It might look Minecrafty, but it's not.
If anybody starts about Minecraft, I'm leaving.
No, I'm not even going there because the amount of times I hear, oh, it looks like Minecraft. Fuck off. I don't mind when people say, oh, it reminds me of the old Grand Theft Autos. Yeah, well, that's because that's what it's supposed to look like.
And that wasn't rehearsed at all earlier there, Sean. Well done.
What was that? Oh yeah.
It wasn't rehearsed at all when you said, oh, look, it looks like the old GTA 2.
Yeah.
Top down.
Yeah, I did. Well, better than GTA 2, but it reminds me of GTA 2.
Well, that's good because Grand Theft Auto 2 was probably the best in the series.
It was.
The question is, if Neon Sword is loosely based off Grand Theft Auto, are you going to rip consumers off over 3 generations of console like Rockstar are doing?
No.
I cannot believe that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to be over 3 consoles and Rockstar are ripping the shit out of people's pockets.
They are.
I think it was time for Grand Theft Auto 6, really.
I think it was time for Grand Theft Auto 6 about a year ago.
Yeah. The thing is, the more people put into Grand Theft Auto 5, the more they're gonna milk it.
Oh, definitely.
They haven't really done that with Red Dead Redemption 2 for the past few weeks, have they? I'm sure I've seen protests about it.
Oh yeah, let's protest that they're not bringing out updates to the online stuff by going online, playing the game, and standing there in a clown outfit.
Yeah.
Because that makes fucking sense.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is...
Honestly, some gamers are so fucking backward and inbred, they could be related to bloody Trump. I refuse to buy anything online. Microtransactions are one thing that really, really piss me off. And they have done for ages.
A microtransaction shouldn't exist in a £50-60 game.
It shouldn't exist for a £5 game.
See, I know what you're saying there, but a developer still needs to make the money up somehow. And if they're going to create new content, then why shouldn't they make new content that costs? If the game only costs £5, then sure, put something in that's £1, whatever, as a microtransaction.
If they're going to make new content for a game, fine, do that. Make it decent new content as a DLC.
Oh yeah, that's definitely it.
Yeah, not fucking microtransactions. Especially like with Call of Duty, how you can pimp out your gun to make it look like a gay fucking flag. And you have to pay £5 for the bloody joy of doing it.
£10 for a watch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
No, that I understand that. If I ever made DLC for Neon Sword, I'd make sure it was like adding a full new island or whatever else to the side of the rest of the map, which for one person the map's big enough already, as you've seen today.
Yeah, because even you got lost in it and you fucking made the game.
Exactly. Like,
it's got to be substantial, you know, they got to make it worth the money.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to make that DLC worth the money. But then, look at games like Fortnite, which are selling skins. Like, a skin that took someone a couple of hours to make. There's no way a skin took a couple of weeks to make.
Yeah, I don't buy skins.
No, I'd never buy a skin. I always hate when the kids ask to buy skins on Fortnite and stuff like that.
I think the best, the most understandable DLC I've seen was last generation with Wipeout HD. They did Wipeout Fury, which was pretty much doubled the size of the game, and it was like 5 new game modes. And I was like, yeah, I'll pay for that. It's basically a second game.
Oh yeah, that's good. That.
Yeah, but I think they're pushing it too far with all the premium currency and microtransactions and shit.
The problem is, if you search online, there's a talk about online currency and getting whales to buy more of it, and addiction to buying more.
Mm-hmm.
And game companies try to bleed as much money as they can out of the whales. It's not the general customer like you and me that are like, no, fuck that, we're not going to pay for that. It's people that are like, oh yeah, we'll buy that. And that's the people that are earning the money off.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been stood in game before in the queue waiting to pay for games and what have you, and there's been a kid with the mother stood in front of me, and he's like picking up all the currency cards and wanting his mum to buy it, and she went to the till. She ended up spending about £100 on like,
sure.
Yeah, exactly, like £100 on just shit for Grand Theft Auto 5, and this kid was like bloody 12-year-old.
Yeah, because the parents don't know what they're buying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so glad I'm a gamer, because when my daughter turned around to me when she was 11 and asked for Grand Theft Auto, the answer was fuck off. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. Okay.
Fuck off, you are not having it. It's got an 18 rating on it for a reason.
Yeah.
You're not going to sit and watch an 18 film, are you?
Depends on the content. I can't say anything now because my daughter's 17, so...
Yeah, but if she was 11 and she's like, Dad, can I watch an 18 film? You're not going to sit there and be like, yeah, go on then.
No, you are not watching my copy of Debbie Does Dallas. Simple answer.
Okay, hell.
So while we're talking about money when it comes to games, what are everyone's thoughts of the PlayStation 5 games are now going to be roughly sort of $10 more than this generation? So we're looking at around about $70, I think it is, when they release the games.
Whoosh. I think they cost enough.
I don't see why they need to cost any more.
No, I agree.
It's the same development time for most of the games anyways. So
If you want to blame
Yeah.
someone, which is my favorite hobby, look at they did it with Halo 2 was the first one.
Can we keep it clean if we're talking about your favourite hobby?
Halo 2 was the first game they charged $60 for instead of $50. They wanted to see if people would pay $10 extra for a game, and they did. And so they started pricing all their games at $60.
Yeah, I think over sort of last generation and this generation of consoles, the games have stayed the same price.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had sort of 12 years now of the same priced games.
Yeah,
That's true.
So in the climate of the world, especially at the moment when the world's struggling, I don't know, $10, is it going to make that much difference now?
Yeah, that's a valid point.
I think it's because if you look at digital downloads such as the Microsoft Store or PlayStation Store, you find that games are priced higher for some reason than they are for a physical copy.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. It's because Sony and Microsoft take more of a cut than shops do.
Actually, if you think about it, the physical copy, you have to print out a disc and a case. There's no reason for it to be higher.
yeah, it should
No.
be. The digital should be lower.
Exactly.
Should be, but it isn't.
That's what the big push was on the Vita when PlayStation put out the Vita. Everything that you could get on the Vita physically, it was like the digital version was $5 or $10 cheaper.
That's what I don't understand. Like now, digital copies cost more. It shouldn't be the case.
That's probably why Sony decided to scrap the Vita then, because they weren't making enough money off it.
Probably, yeah.
That's a whole other episode, man. I could talk about the Vita all day.
I think we should do that in a
Coming
future
in
one.
our second podcast, Johnny on his high horse. Stay tuned, folks.
What, for a change?
Well, the point is, when you do start going on a rant like that, you have got a very valid point and you've got a hell of a lot of good backup to your argument, so go for it.
Oh, thanks. I love you too.
But if games cost...
That was a fucking compliment, you couldn't. I wasn't being sarcastic.
I know. I was being serious too. No, I'm just terrible at taking compliments. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Love you.
So if they're going to add $10 onto games, we're going to be paying, what, 70?
You're talking sort of 60 to £65, $70 for a game.
65
NBA 2K21 is definitely priced at $70.
Sure.
See, I don't think I could push that far.
Yeah, but my problem is they are bringing 2K are bringing out NBA 2K21 on the PS4 before the PS5 launches. So who's going to sort of get it on the PS5 when you should, in theory, be able to play the digital on the PS5 that you buy for the PS4 anyway?
Right. That's a good question.
Unfortunately, none of us can answer that.
It's too late in the day for me.
But if you stay tuned to airentertainment.biz, as soon as we know the answer, you will too.
Yeah. Shameless
The
plug.
problem is we possibly won't know the answer, but, you know.
Stay tuned anyway.
Yeah.
So, if games are going to be released across platforms, such as Cyberpunk's going to be released on the Xbox current next gen, and then the Xbox next gen, are they going to be the same price, or do you think they're going to add that $10 onto the next gen as well?
I think they're going to add the $10 on because I think, like I say, with the NBA 2K21, it's going to be cheaper for the PS4. And they've already said it's definitely going to be $70 for the PS5 version of it.
But if you get the upgrade, then for free, where are they making the money?
Yeah, and it completely cancels out the £10 more for a PS5 version than a PS4 version when the PS4 version will play on the PS5.
I think it proves that games are more expensive than they actually should be.
Yes, I would say that. I mean, we as reviewers can't really say much because most of our games that we gratefully get for free from PR companies anyway. So
yeah, which we are thankful for.
Yeah, definitely.
But as an indie developer myself,
without them guys, we wouldn't be in business.
Yeah, exactly. But as an indie developer myself, I know that what one person can do is a lot more than what people say.
Yeah, but the thing is, you as an indie developer are working on your own on a massive scale game.
Yeah.
Whereas other companies have got hundreds, if not thousands, of people working on the same game.
Yeah, true.
Now, where's the difference between the amount of effort that you've put into Neon Sword to, say, a company like EA that brings out the same shite year in, year out when it comes to FIFA and all the other games that they do, Madden and what have you? Why should they get away with charging a lot more than what you're going to be charging for your game?
The thing is, if I charge $60, $70, whatever, for my game, Neon Sword, I think people will cry because it's an indie game and not a triple A game, in air quotes. Even though I've put more effort in.
You've put more effort in, but this will be your first game that you release, whereas
second.
All the other companies are releasing. Alright, second, but we're not going to go into your original games.
No, let's not go into the original games for Flash games and stuff.
Yeah. But when it comes to other companies that are releasing games all the time, people trust them, whereas why should they put their trust in you?
Yeah, true.
And that's where I can't even think of the words now, I'm too fucking knackered.
No, why should people put the trust in an indie developer that's worked on a game by herself to a big company that's mass-produced the same series every year?
Because you're from Hull.
Yeah.
That's the point. And we also know one other cunt that was from Hull, but that twat shall remain nameless.
Yes, please don't give him any credit on the show.
I'd name him just so people look him up.
Whatever you want to call. We don't care. Oops, sorry, I gave a fucking name away.
I'm just trying to find my blue socks here somewhere.
It's alright, Jake.
No. It's not the blue socks that you need to be worried about. It's the kiddie socks that you need to be worried about.
Oh yes. The single one.
The verted shit that goes on. Probably because that person that we've named and we shall not name anymore, because obviously they tried to call the police on us and failed miserably. Due to our articles telling the truth of his history and what he's trying to do at the moment. Yeah, we won't go there any further.
But if you haven't seen the articles, I'd definitely search him up and see the first few articles that come up.
Oh yeah, go on Google and search. You'll find our articles straight away.
Oh, we've had some fun in the gaming industry, I think. Sure.
I think
it's been interesting, if nothing else.
It's been a journey, hasn't it, so far?
It really has.
It's got to be one of the biggest dramas of this century that we've dug up.
No, it's definitely one of the biggest dramas of the century we've dug up, that's for sure.
I think on that note we'll call it a night, and stay tuned for more podcasts and hopefully special guests from the game industry, which we'll announce in the future. Thank you for listening. Bye.